Hello. Am I live? Yes, I am live. I think I'm live. Okay, never been live before, so you'll have to excuse the bumpy style of mine. Not sure where to look, what to look for. Okay, so we are talking money and your chart. In other words, I have recently had an epiphany of how actually our charts can help us identify the very specific ways we are set up, we are made, if you like, not to remove the free will and our agency, of course, never. But it's a blueprint. It's like we are given this, like, to make it easier for us, should we allow ourselves to go, this is so weird, down certain paths, i.e., our chart, connect the certain dots certain ways, which typically, as we'll get to find out, is very actually difficult, in order to have ease or the easy access to money, easy ways to make money. And this is important, that the difference exists between the two, money versus wealth, and therefore wealth. I mean, imagine, right? And there is a big difference between money and wealth. I mean, obviously, in one sense, there isn't. Wealth is just a lot of money. If we're talking financial wealth, obviously there are other kinds of wealth, health wealth, all other kinds of wealth, human wealth, emotional wealth, blah, blah, blah. I'm all for it. And yeah, I'm a proud owner of so many, of you rather. But sorry, I'm really struggling to see where this is going. There is no one here yet, and there may not be anyone. So I just want to be kind of as good and as seamless or as flowy as I am with my typical videos, which are just pre-recorded, which means I can edit, I can just adjust things and test before I go. Anyway, so whether someone comes or not, I'm going to spend the next however many minutes talking about, in generic terms or general terms, what I mean by the importance of using our chart to figure out why we're not making money. Should we be a kind of person that wants to make more money? And I also want to talk about that, the whole normalization of these desires and general, I would say, still present, if not pervasive, vibe, shall we say, in the kind of general public, certainly in the world that I inhabit, of shaming the kind of desire to be wealthy, to want money, to want more. Just that sentence, I want more for myself, is considered to be greedy. I mean, I think it is part of, I'm not religious, but I think that the deadly sins, there is greed. I'm sure there is greed, right? So, I mean, you're meant to, it's a punishable offense to have those feelings. I'm sorry, this is the weirdest experience. This is all wrong for me, from my end. Sorry. Just seeing myself somewhere doing something completely opposite to what I'm doing. Right. Okay. Let me consult my notes. Where do I begin? Actually, I don't have to consult my notes. I remember. Actually, I want to start by saying a couple of things which are sort of logistical. There was one person only who submitted their data to me via a form, because the other didn't come to this live, or couldn't, or whatever. They will know who they are, so I'm not going to name them in case I even mispronounce their name, but that's neither here nor there. They will know who they are. So to you, the form submitter, I'm sorry, but I couldn't really work with your chart because you didn't give me the time of your birth or your location, so I don't have enough to go on. You will find helpful what I'm talking about here, and I will, because I'll be talking about the moons, which I think you may have either a fire moon or an earth moon, and I'll be talking about moons are important, so you'll have that info there. And then I will actually pick some of your words from your from your form, what you have shared with me in response to my questions, which I think are very interesting and very kind of commonplace. I know in my life certainly has been the case, and I've heard enough times from others to say that this is quite a commonplace, problems with money and feelings we have around money. So I want to explore that. So I will use your form to an extent, but not for what you wanted it for. I'm sorry. There will be other opportunities, I think, so stay tuned. Another point I want to make, if anyone comes along, which they may or they may not, but if anyone does, and obviously they will have a specific rising sign, ascendant, and if there are a few people, then I will try to do the timestamp below in the description, so people with the same rising sign, i.e. ascendant, can then go straight there, and because it will be a lot of similarities, and you want to kind of get a feel of what it's, the kind of the path, the way you're connecting the dots and the way you're weaving the story, which is what I'm going to show you. And if for now, oh, hello, I have someone has joined. Um, right. I have no idea. Two people. Hi. Sorry. Hello. I have never done a live. We're talking money and astrology. If you're here with that intention, welcome. Maybe say hello in the chats, because I suppose this is like it's not like Instagram, so I can't see the person unless they leave a chat, I think. Well, let's assume. So please let yourself known and hello, and let me speak a little bit in general terms, and then if you stay, do stay, because I will want to ask you your details, in terms of your chart, and want to talk to you about your money situation, and then use your chart as another example of how to connect the dots and figure out how we are best set up to make money our own way, type of businesses, type of work that we are like born to do in order to make money, and separately in order to make wealth. Okay, so stick around and leave me those details at some point. But now I'm going to speak to the general theme of money and astrology. So if you are familiar with generally money, since if you are here watching after now, you're probably interested in how can you make more money than you're already making, or even make money at all on your own terms. This is the key piece. It's not working for someone else, although that could be also part of your path, but it might even be your destination. I can't say I spent much time looking into that, since I had this epiphany like a month ago that I could be doing this with my own chart. Don't know why I never thought of that, but I didn't. Because that's not what I want. In fact, I want the opposite, and I've done that. I've done that slog decades ago. So if you're thinking of how you can make money as yourself on your own terms, then you probably have been investigating this topic anyway, and you may have heard people talk about two things: nervous system regulation and identity work, which are kind of similar, or maybe not identical, I wouldn't say, but they overlap. So I want to address these two because I too think they're really critical. They're the answer to how we can move from where we are at today, i.e., in a position where we either don't know how to make money on our own terms, or we are making, but it's either too hard, or there's all kinds of other resentments, angers, frustrations, disappointments, fatigue, exhaustion, overwhelm, you name it, all the kind of crappy energies that are blocking us to grow further and make more money, but also not just make more money, but actually have an easier life. So if that's your goal, right, then you will know that you will have heard, and I agree with that, in those conversations on YouTube, for instance, that the identity work is essential. So we need to, in addition to calm our nervous system down, in order to be comfortable with whatever is happening around us. So those energies that are, disruptive, let's say, to say the least, so polluting, toxic, even if they're our own, right? Let's say dissolved or lessened. So the nervous system regulation helps with that. But also another piece is that we have to become the person that does the stuff that it's required to do to make the money, and to live a life that's wealthy or prosperous and or financially stable, so that you can have a good life. So in order to do that, to achieve that, you need to become the person who does that, whatever needs to be done to become and have that kind of life. So this is a double whammy that I struggled a while, even before money became like, and astrology became the thing a month ago. Like, how do I become something I'm not yet? And this whole thing about faking it till you're making it has such a bad rep, right? I mean, I've heard it and seen it. I'm sure you have too. And I get it. And yet, I don't know who said it. Someone I respect, and I wish I noted down the actual name of the person. It's not me. But it may have been Neville Goddard, who I don't know, but I do value his work. Obviously, I don't know him, right? I mean, he's not around. He's not a YouTuber. That's what I mean. Or maybe it was someone else. But it's like you have to be before you can do. So just a simple example, kind of why I'm kind of laboring this point, is this is how I took myself from like faking till you make it. I mean, that's just bullshit. That's like me pretending. That's like me faking. How's that good vibe, right? To actually know it has to be. And it's two key things other than the one example I'm going to just give you. And in addition to nervous system regulation, and we'll get to astrology, bear with me, is that the gap between who you are today. So you're whoever you are today, messy, not good with money, not employed, working for someone you don't want to do, but have a business on the side, or whatever your situation is. So you're that person. What you can't do is start acting today as if you're a millionaire. You need to make little steps. This is the piece that I kept missing. And kind of maybe I didn't want to hear, maybe it was not even mentioned. I don't care. But the fake until you make it was always sounding like I had to fake to be a millionaire when I'm really like an assistant in a bookshop, for example, right? No, that's too much. That's called cognitive dissonance or something. It's like your brain will not let you be fooled. Like you can't fool yourself or your brain with that leap, right? Well, at least for most of us mortals. And I'm not going to go down that tangent of an example that potentially that can be also done, but I'm not that person, and I think majority of us are not. So this is where pre-recording would be good. I could have paused now and tried to retrace my steps. Maybe I can say one person here, hello. There was two. Thanks for the like. And yes, let me know in the comments, like, even if you want to leave earlier. So two now, hi. Maybe this is just not giving me correct, data. But yeah, leave your comments in below, as in your date of birth, month spelt out, your time of birth and location. And even if you have to leave, it'll be there and I can look at your chart and then we can watch it later. So the fake it till you make it, to be someone before you can do something is actually not, it's inintegrity when it's just a nudge, just a bit of a push. And that can also feel terrifying and can feel weird. But I have now witnessed in myself, therefore I can speak with some credibility, at least, like, I don't know. Yeah, I know. I'm speaking from experience, right? And that gives me or whoever in my world some kind of credence, like belief, right? And yeah, I think that's a good enough word. It's when these changes are not overstretching you, but they're stretching you. They're still like, you have to think, you have to remind yourself, you have to pretend, but it's not a major pretense. It's just like, yeah, I have to now sit and look at, let's say, my bank account, which I haven't looked in like a year, let's say, which is not that far from truth for me, but that's my circumstances. And it's like, oh, there's not happening much there, and I'm not happy about it. But I'm like, no, who are you? No. You can sit next to me, watch this, none of that tantrum. Let's be grown-ups about it. Now, there is that back and forth conversation with yourself till you kind of readjust to being the kind of person that is comfortable with money. Just a little example, right? Another example is like a surgeon has to, before they can actually operate on someone, right? They have to become a surgeon. And to become a surgeon, they have to retrain themselves from being non-surgeon to being a surgeon. Now, this is also very much money mechanics. So this is another lovely parallel that kind of supports or disrupts further. So if you can't do this, you can't do money. And and this is where astrology helps us see that. And I'll get to that in a second. So with a surgeon, she needs to train before. So she's pretending to be, sort of, right? She's sitting there going with the scalpel or whatever, like for the first time. It's a form of pretense because you've never done it before. And then they're taught, like I was saying about me looking at the screen, my account, like I have to talk to myself to sort of, it's okay to nervous system regulation, calm that part of me that's like, oh my God, my money, I don't know what I'm going to look at, right? Just calm her down and then sit with her. Because this other part, by this point in my life, and the point in your life where you're ready to start doing this work, is actually well and truly alive and ready to go. So although there is movement, like you're changing in real time, and there is a sense of that you're not still that person, becoming it doesn't feel like faking it. It does not feel like faking it. And that's the energy you want as you're changing yourself into a person who is actually really comfortable with money. Now, let's bring this down to astrology. So I kept saying money and wealth are very different. And okay, no, let me actually, hold on, let me just backtrack. Let me start with a lesser subject here. And by lesser, I mean, it may play a lesser part, but it's critical in a sort of in most directly money related sense, depending on your chart, or it could be. So here it is. So money, nervous system regulation is the moon. Our moon is our internal sense of safety. And that's what nervous system dysregulation is, when we are feeling unsafe, and we are in fawn, flight, whatever those expressions are, just in a fear, in a frazzled state, and scared, and just all those not good energies, right? They're kind of disruptive, right? That's a nervous system dysregulated. That's the moon. So whether your moon rules any of the relevant planets I'll be talking, and relevant points in your chart that I'll be talking in a minute about, which are far more directly connected to money and wealth, two separate things, remember, sort of, but enough to really kind of keep that in mind. So whether moon is directly connected there, in which case is even more important, or rather it's the path to being in a place where your nervous system is actually, you're practicing nervous system regulation to do with money more easily if it's directly connected to a money story. But if it isn't, there is still a way to do it, even if you're practicing it, and even if you're practicing outside of money connected related subjects. So the moon, you have 4 elements. It's like that's more important, or rather that's enough to get you started. And I personally, I'm currently flying with just the fact that my moon is Earth moon in Capricorn, right? Earth. That's all I care about. And it feels good enough. You feel it's enough, because I feel if I go into the Capricorn piece, like getting even more refined, I'm going to get bogged down in, like, it's an avoidance, distraction tactic, as in unconscious, tactic. So I'm not doing that. I'm just interested in the Earth. And I'm thinking, so let's start with Earth, since that's mine. I'm there already. So we're looking at our moon, deciding what element it is. So whether it's the earth element, water element, fire element, and air element, right? And within each element, there are 3 signs, which I'm going to assume you know, because I'm an astrology crone. I'm here attracting intermediate, at least, level of astrology fluency. Hopefully, yeah. So I'm going to leave it at that. Everyone's welcome, of course, but yeah, I go at this speed. So so the earth moon, if you have an earth moon, you just don't even listen to me. I'll share you in a second what I do, but just think earthy things. Think of the earth as an element, what it is, and feel into what of those things, whatever they are, experiences, feelings, ways of being, moving through the world, make you feel like it's a home. It's like you're settled. I can now put my feet up. I feel relaxed. So figure out what that is for you. And for me, actually, it's just mainly nature. Just stillness is a lot for me. And maybe that is a Capricorn piece, because if you're Virgo, Earth, movement, mutability might be important. So there are layers but you don't need to know that. You just need to feel into, and the element is enough to kind of narrow it down. What's helping you regulate the nervous system. But yes, you can obviously refine it further. Oh, hi, driving. Sundancer 5XX. Hi. Lovely to see you. I don't know if I know you. Your face looks familiar. Well, it's lovely to see you. And yeah. Great. So that's good. You can while I'm live, maybe you can still later, if you stop anyway, you can leave the details or not. Okay. So you look at the element. If it's fire, you might need to be running. Maybe that calms you down. You might need to get physical, or burning, like burning calories, burning energy, burning yourself with truth, with not extreme, but kind of intense experiences where there is a sense of burn, right? Like maybe the intensity is what calms you down. Like sometimes I don't know. I had an example and it left me, and I'm not even sure whether it was a good example, but ultimately the fact that for me that sounds like, oh my God, it's because I'm Earth, right? If it's water, then it's obviously anything to do with water. Again, listen to yourself. You're just using that as a little guidance, like a little light, just so you have narrowed your the field of your inquiry, let's say. But ultimately listen to your body. So think of water, and then whatever comes to you might be just the trickle of the waterfall, or those fountains, decorative in the house, or drinking water, or swimming, or rain. Yeah, no, actually, that doesn't calm me. That kind of excites me anyway. And where are we? The air. You could be someone who needs to talk. You actually, for an air sign, I would think element, moon in the air element. I would even go as far as to say maybe you are really well positioned to be doing mental work, or like belief like changing your beliefs, changing how you think around money, because air is intellect, is rational, it's the thought, it's the communication, or other things like just fresh air, breath work, right? Like breath work for me I never cared for it. You see, that there's something like, it makes sense for that to be a very calming thing. Yeah, sure, one deep breath, but that is just for me to feel the body. And truly it is that I can feel the contours of my insides. That makes me immediately, I'm home. But if I'm just to do that back and forth, and doesn't, no, doesn't work, doesn't do anything. It might work, but it doesn't do anything. So that's how you kind of figure out how are you set up to best regulate your nervous system. Now, this is the next step that I have practiced. People have different views on this, and I'm going to share mine since I can stand by mine and it's my experience. So you'll see if it works for you. But the sort of often I hear others in this world, in this world of money manifestation, right, talk about when you're nervous, when you find that nervous regulated place, when your system is calm and happy, right? Think of times that were happy, were connected to money. So you were receiving money, you were comfortable with the amount, or you were gifts, or something to do with receiving from another. And I get that. But I find that my way, for me at least, works better. And that could well be to do with my own money making thing, which, I might talk about or might not. But anyway, so that's one way, but I can't elaborate on it since I don't do it. The way I do it, which is how I do my whole shadow work, and there's a whole lot of content on my channel about this, which is I deliberately, so I get into the state of being calm, my nervous system is calm, right? I'm happy, there is a sense of fullness, I'm not wanting for anything, I feel like, I feel regal somehow, I do. Like, I don't mean, I just feel like, that's what I mean, I'm wanting for nothing, I got everything, I'm self-contained, or so maybe that's my Taurus rising sun and Saturn. Anyway, so I get to the place that I know it's the best place, that nothing can shake me, nothing can throw me. And then I think of the worst case scenarios. Then I imagine situations that would rattle me, typically. But because I'm already in this state, there is an immediate sense that I'm like, sometimes it takes a while, it takes some, like, okay, let's start again. No, this is taking through me. So, okay, I'm starting again, whatever I'm doing, right, whatever. Let's start. Let's do it again, right? Then I do it. And eventually, usually it doesn't take long, I'm in a place where I can play in my mind the whole scene and the whole horror of me feeling squirming and whatever, while I in the film in front of me, right, while I am sitting and being like just watching a TV or a movie that I'm enjoying. I'm good, I'm happy, but the movie is not, but I'm not perturbed by it. Now that's the sweet spot for me. And so I need to practice this more than not, meaning like more, I have to do it a few times. But it tends to, and it's almost like a reminder, like, then I don't do it every day. I can't do anything every day, just again, how I'm set up. But yeah, I keep going back to it, and it's always a different scene. Often, if I feel I'm done with the scene, then I'm go to another scene another time. And eventually, I've done this for the reason I know about this is, even though I told you just 10 minutes ago that I only a month ago started thinking of money and astrology and all this shadow work in the way that I'm talking to you about now. But for years, I have used the very same method in a different language. I spoke about it, not nervous system regulation, just marrying my happy state with an unhappy place, that eventually the unhappy place kind of gets dissolved, because I'm looking at it from a happy place, and the unhappiness doesn't tend to then expand or fortify itself, get stronger, but weakens and in time. And I did it for relationships. All my relationships, people pleasing have stopped for me doing this. I have been through hell with people in my imagination while maintaining, and that was a lot of work actually. I had to do a lot of like, oh, okay, we have to start again. I was thrown, but it worked. It was harder. It feels this one might be easier, fingers crossed, but that's the principle. That's the method I use. Okay, so that's the moon. And without being, because if we are all non-regulated, dysregulated, that is telling the money, right, the energy of money, that it's not welcome. It's not that it's not welcome. It's just like it's gonna miss us. Money wants to be reciprocated in a powerful, steady way, which brings me the two words. I just said them and then I realized they're actually fitting, which brings me to the money axis in your chart, which is your, and now this is, okay, so this is important. It's not Scorpio and Taurus. It could be, and they certainly play a part, but only in the way of making sense of the houses second and the eighth. And why I'm saying it's not Taurus and Scorpio, don't, at this stage, if this is your first time playing with astrology and money, I would strongly recommend this just so you get your footing solidly into the first layer of knowledge and practice, and then you can layer it up. So, because the houses are the containers of experiences, and they go from first to 12th, obviously. And so the second house is where we stabilize. And this is another interesting piece, like the identity work. Identity in general is a stability of a human being to say, I'm this or I'm that. Sadly, it stays with Taurus more than not. And we are stuck with identities we find hard to get rid of, like not to get rid of, but just kind of outgrow, like let go, right? Let them die, because Taurus is like that. It just, and we don't move past Taurus, because but we have thankfully Scorpio on the opposite side, and really Taurus, Scorpio, second, eighth house are really just the same thing, the opposite sides of the same coin, truly. So you can't be stuck in if you're stuck in your Taurus and just thinking of your second house, Taurus, whatever, at this point I can interchangeably use them, bear with me, fine, but you are missing out a whole other half of your story with those themes. And there are many themes, but we're talking here just money and wealth. So the identity is naturally wants to get fixed, and that's correct, but it's because it gets like that at the Taurus level, then again at the Leo level, then at the Scorpio level, and then at the Aquarius level. But the point is that it has to move those 4 stages, and ultimately, when it comes to money identity shifts, it needs to be done Scorpio way, because that's how you change the Taurus identity. And Taurus identity is the identity of what we value, what we feel it's our resource, like where is our power, like this is my thing, this is my thing, this is what I do, this is what I know, this is what I'm good at, this is my skill set. Those are all, this is all like your second house cupboard, where you have all these tools, all that stuff that is you pull out of, because Taurus is self-reliance and self-sufficiency. So that's what I mean. It's your box, it's your cardboard box, it's your toolbox, right? And it's always with you, and you have made it, earned it, whatever, right? And it's your, right? And you can very much make money with it. And Taurus is, well, they are bankers according to some iconography, but I'm not going to go there. In fact, I think they're more Scorpio. Well, let's not go there for a moment, even though I just did. Bear with, I mean, like, ignore me. My Mercury in Gemini is on steroids because this life has thrown me totally. My energy is a bit hyper because I'm so not used to looking at nothing and then seeing myself waving my hands around. Like, what's going on? Anyway, right. So the second house is going to tell you, this is what your value is. Not just what you value, but this is what your value is to others as well. Like they will see whatever let's say my example, I'm a Gemini second house, and my writing has always been, even my voice, even the way I speak, even though many don't like my meandering thing, but when they do, oh my God, they're nourished and just like liberated and feel loved by it, by my Gemini, tangential mind and words and just the way I speak, right? But that's of recent, social media, YouTube, or whatever. But my whole life prior was always writing was one of my strongest strengths. I didn't ever make money with it, and that's a whole other separate story. But because I'm not going to go into that too, that would be too much time wasted on the irrelevant stuff. It's because I didn't have to put it. I'll just say that much. So there's no mystery to that, astrologically speaking, until I did. And even then, when I did go for work, for jobs, like interviews, because up until my 40s, I was in the corporate world, and I was a master, like how I sold myself to get good salary, good, rate for my freelancing or whatever, which wasn't writing, but my Gemini Mercury was so good at getting me what I want and making them see my value right? In whatever else I was doing. It's not just, words, but that is that is the vehicle in which you carry, like it's the stall, the market stall, like your sign in your second house, and your planets there you may have. I have Mercury there, is like how you drive all the other values that you have, all the other skills which are also elsewhere in your chart, but it's like how you make them marketable and appealing to others, that they want that from you, is your sign, and then the planet in your second house. Now, that's money making. Wealth is something else. Why is wealth something else? Money you can do on your own. So second house, and I didn't actually explore the whole difference between Taurus and the signs and the houses. I won't. It would be too long. Just trust me for a moment, and you do your own thing anyway. But yeah, I have a reason why I'm making the distinction, but it's okay. We don't have to do it now. So money making in the way I just talked about in your second house, in your sign, is to do with, or rather, it's not to do with it. It's where your solopreneurship lies and lives. So it's you making money on your own. They're your resources, and you could well make money without others being involved, even if it's a cart that you're wheeling around to different markets. It's something you have created, and you need people to buy from you, sure, but you didn't need anyone else to make that. Like with my writing, I don't need anyone. I'm creating a magazine, and this first issue is going to be all me, and I've done that before. Not as big one as I'm doing this year. Excuse me. I can easily make books. I did a book easily. And yeah, so my point is, second house you do on your own. It's how it's set up. That kind of work you are capable, more than capable, to do on your own. You love doing your own on your own. You prefer doing it on your own. You're a solopreneur. And why am I then making a decision whether that's just money versus wealth? Because yes, it could be good money. It could be making you nice living, but there is very much a limit to it, and that might be fine. You might be good. And yet I would still say visit your, let's go to the eighth house, because this is your wealth potential now. Why wealth versus, why not wealth in the second and in the eighth? Because we're on the axis. Remember, that's the money axis. So from the second, where it's all about self-sufficiency, we just came into the life, into this body. We were born in the first house, so then we move to the second, and that's where our identity gets more fixed. We become, aha, this is who I am. I can feel myself. I can, aha, this is what I have, and all the stuff I just talked about. And then we move all through the houses, and then we get to the eighth. Now, as you know, from the seventh, in the seventh, we meet the other for the first time in a significant way, in the way we are facing them, and they're, yeah, that's a whole other story. But we're meeting another person in a meaningful way. We had audiences in the fifth. We have maybe had co-workers in the sixth. We had family parents in the fourth. We had our school peers and neighborhood in the. But none of these are like, I'm looking at you. I'm talking to you in the seventh. That's a seventh conversation. I'm making a very specific, direct connection to you specifically. I see you, or I don't see you, but I think I see you. At least I see you literally in front of me. That's the seventh house. Now, the eighth house is when you get undressed with another. Literally, as we know, that's a house of sex, but an intimacy, physical kind. But actually, it's just another kind of layer to the intimacy of all different kinds, which is emotional, psychological, right? And so back to money and wealth, we have to, so let me just finish this piece here with the eighth house and nakedness and vulnerability. We all of a sudden are really vulnerable. We are the truth piece of the Scorpio, which helps us understand that the eighth house themes, even though you may well not have Scorpio in your eighth house, right? But the Scorpio sign is helping us, because that's where it lives in a natural zodiac, to understand the meaning of the eighth house. And then the sign you have there will be how you interact and engage with these themes of trust, truth, vulnerability, exposure, intimacy, sex, penetration, physical, but also like energetic, which is far more actually of interest here, and to do with money as well. And so my point back to wealth is that every entrepreneur, or rather solopreneur, will tell you that the point at which they were like, well, I might be making a decent living, I can pay my bills, I can pay for my family, let's say, I don't know, £50,000 a year. I don't know if that's enough, but even if it's, let's say, £100,000 a year, and they've done it all on their own. They may have had one assistant, remote or whatever. They just occasionally send stuff to, but ultimately they're running the thing themselves. It comes a point, if they want more and if they really want to grow their influence, another 8th house or Scorpio language, right? And grow their money, i.e. then becomes just more than just money to support the sort of basic living or even just the extra living, but it's there is a potential for more. Now you have to now extend yourself, make yourself vulnerable, to open yourself up to working with other people, like actually letting them into your business, letting them into your finances, like to see your finances, because you might need an accountant, you might need a, I don't know. I'm not in that point in my life, so I wouldn't know what exactly goes into it. But my point is that you're vulnerable with many people, and only with many people in such a close proximity with your money and your business, which at that point has become like this, like a lifeline of yours, like it's your vein, the main artery through your body is this business, because it's literally your livelihood, right? And everything else. Now you have brought other people in, and every entrepreneur I have listened to, even known some, spoken privately, that's like the major shaky point. I don't know if you ever climbed, like for the first time, and then when you have like climbing, the ropes on the mountain cliffside, and I've done it, this piece I'll never forget, like there is a point where you kind of have to just let yourself be unsupported and really only supported by the harness upwards by someone who's holding you, so trusting someone else. That is terrifying. And it took me probably half an hour or whatever to make that one move. Literally, I'll remember it as if it were yesterday. But the moment you move across, it's fine. But that moment, or when you're jumping off a really high cliff until you hit the water, I also done that. And it's like that sense of like utter vulnerability. But without being vulnerable like that with so many other people, and it feels like that, to make them move, to invite them in, and then for a while you're adjusting yourselves with each other, that's the only way you will make wealth, as per those verified stories of entrepreneurs who became millionaires. So versus like £100,000 a year to $1 million, many millions a year. Now I'm at this stage not interested in that. That's too far ahead for me. But I want to also unshame that now, that I might one day desire that. So back to your chart and back to your how this is all helpful for you. So now you understood, right? So we often stick with the second house stuff, and we're happy to make money, and that's, like I said, I think that's fine. But I wonder, I've been there, but I had my own reasons for, like, which don't sound like relevant here, but maybe they are. Why I kind of didn't want to grow. In fact, they are. Well, yeah, they are. I'm sure they are, to a level. They just seem, because I'm so close to them, I can see all the intricate detail of them, and I'm not sure if it all fits, which is just how it is, isn't it? So, okay, I lost my train of thought here. So the second, to stay in the second house, we typically do that, and that's, like I say, fine. But we potentially, I think what we're doing, we are just continuing to work, and it's like the stagnation is just not the natural way of the world and of being a human, like to be the same. We are not wired. Well, it's a sure way to shorten our life. I think I would put my name on that, to that statement. So that is my point. Even if we are kind of going, yeah, I'm good with the however much. Really, the point is to let ourselves do the 8th house work of working, of running a business with the view of becoming wealthy. Because another piece to remember is that wealth in the hands of good people with integrity, people with with integrity, I think that's more than enough. And obviously conscious, like evolved souls that have evolved consciousness. They're conscious of themselves, meaning in a sort of, intentional, very energetically clean, good energy workers, not like, manipulating that too, like for good, right? But just ones that are very attuned to all the icky, sticky stuff. Like for those people to have wealth, it's just like the best thing in the world that a world can have, right? The more of us like that, to be wealthy, to be then giving back, to be circulating their wealth around the world is just phenomenal. So that's one part of unshaming. So back to astrology. So when you're looking at your chart to understand what you're struggling, why you are struggling in your eighth house, should you want to more, it might not be a million, for you might be 10,000 months, because currently you're like 100,000, 100 pounds a month, right? Or 1,000 a month. Sorry, yeah, did I say that? Yeah. And then you might just, 10,000 might feel like a Scorpio stuff, eighth house stuff that you have to do the work. So it's relevant, even though it's not wealth in the sense that a millionaire kind of wealth, right? So if you look at the eighth house, you look at the sign and the planets you have in there. And then those planets will tell you the how. So, and like, for instance, my example, I have a Sag there in the eighth house, and I have Mars in there, which is what I figured in over the last month is why I struggled to make more, or just to actually, like when I do my eighth house work for others, because eighth house is how other people come to be transformed by you. And why is the transformation important? Because any transaction with money exchange is essentially an act of, I'm saying, I want something you have, here's money to pay you to give me that. So and that's the eighth house stuff. That's not the second house. That's no other house stuff. It's the eighth house stuff. So the work and it's because it's transformation, because if I'm making little pretty books or paintings and I'm selling them in a market stall, I might make good money, but I'm transforming anyone in that profound eighth house way for which people are happy to pay good money, right? So like I know I have done so. I know people are doing it because that depth, that irreversible change is promised in the eighth house, not by me in my marketing, but by the definition of the eighth house. So if, like me, you have a Sag and a Mars, let's say a Taurus rising, right? You have Sag and the Mars happen to have in the eighth house. The way you're gonna be, the way what people are gonna be happy to pay you is to burn them and to really be malefic with them. Mars is a malefic planet. And I have experienced like in the confrontational sense. So that's part of the work. I'm not fighting them and arguing with them as a client. My work is to confront them with themselves in a Sagittarius way, which is expansive, which is big, which is like loud, which is like intense. So you have Sagittarius expands, and you have eight houses intense in itself, but also there is joy in all of it. And if whoever works with him will tell you that it's the most exciting thing we can do is to dive into all these things, or to put you into experiences with me that will be malefic as a way of you catalyzing something for yourself and therefore transforming. And I have done this with a few people, but it's so dangerous. I felt for a long time what if all kinds of. My point is, whatever we have in our eighth house, we are also meeting our own darkest, deepest underworld, because and other people, that's what eighth house is, our underworld, personal underworld. Other people want us to take them through their own underworld using our eighth house tools, right? But we can't really be a good guide unless we have been to this underworld ourselves. Now, I have really done my underworld. The work is never done, but still, there was a lot of resistance. And I think there is a sense of that it could really be bringing me a lot of money. It's just, and I don't have that capacity to receive because I haven't regulated my nervous system, which I haven't. And I have been doing more so over the last couple of years, irrespective of money, and now specifically to do with money. So I'm on the way. But my point is also, like, when we're doing the work of the eighth house for other people, because that's our purpose for them, that's how we transform them. They come into our eighth house and we transform them in the ways of our sign and the planet we have there. We are paid well, and that's wealth. And then, but we can stay in the second house and just make money to, go by, live, to live okay, comfortably, but not the wealth thing that we just keep growing. Money keeps growing, right? So those are the two things, right? Now, what you want to do, your second house and your eighth house, look at the rulers. That will give you another layer. So for me, I'm looking at a Jupiter ruling my Mars in Sag in the eighth house, right? And in my other case is a Gemini, Mercury who rules Gemini, who happens to stay in the eighth house, is there already. And the Jupiter is in the fifth. So now you're marrying that information, or layering it. So that will tell you, in my case, I'll give you my example, that will tell me that it has to do with creativity. and self-expression. And again, if you look, and it's like we know this, it's just that I have not monetized it as much as I could have because of all the fears of like meeting myself when it for however long. And then I was starting to do this work, offering it to others, but then I had a major issue with the nervous system regulation of like receiving money. Truly, when I think back on the good days when I was making good money doing this sort of work, as told you just now about, it was really like so unmistakably a problem with that. Sorry, I have a neighbor who's wondering why I'm doing all this. So yeah, and so the rulers of the houses will just, so for me it's writing and self-expression, creativity, fifth house. For someone it could be children, you will know. So what you do, you look at the signs in those two houses. The eighth house will tell you how to make more money to the point of being wealthy. Truly, well, I can't promise you, but I promise myself, I know for a fact that my Sag Mars work in the eighth house can make me millions probably. Well, yeah, it's way too out there. But even if it's just hundreds of thousands would be wow. and then my second house is, those are my tools already. So that would be a way of marketing yourself. That would be a way of just how you have built yourself up until this now, the foundations of you on which you're going to be expanding, right? And it's also a way of regulating, in addition to the moon and nervous system regulation. I feel the second house is a way of regulating yourself, like kind of going back into the second to maybe like, it's not like to strategize about your next level growth in the eighth house business kind of work. And also another piece, business work, your eighth house and then conversely second house will also tell you what kind of businesses will be giving you either just a decent, potentially good income, but also potentially limiting. And if you're happy in those energies, you may well not, if that's why you're there out of fear and for safety reasons, you will be probably far sooner hitting the limit. So that's why I keep kind of reminding you, don't stay in your second house. But it will tell you what it is. So for me, it's writing, just to keep it simple. I did Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, right? And it was selling for a while, and I was so good at it as well in some corporate jobs when I was a teenager. And then the eighth house will tell you the work of transformation you can offer to others, which people are happily paying more than they would for, a donut in a bakery shop, or even for your artwork, actually, unless you made it big. And that might even require other work, which, I can't go into now, otherwise I'll be here forever. So your eighth house is how you make your wealth. And it's because it's how you transform people in the most profound way, which is how they're happy to pay you the good money. And then the rulers of those two houses will tell you where, or rather, we'll just add another layer of how, where, what can you, just to flesh out what their business looks like. Sorry, and then, sorry, I meant to finish that sentence. The kind of business that you are set up to, the transformational kind of business that you can make good money with, that like a high ticket kind of money, is by your sign. And the planet in there was a thought, that's why I'm hesitant here. There was a specific thought I can't find anymore, it's left me. That was like a quick kind of how you know exactly what that is. Okay, I think I'm going to have to leave this one. And if I remember it before, I'll put in a description if you're still here with me. Hello, the two people that are, I still haven't received any information about your charts, but I'm going to wrap up soon. I'm going to be talking about this much more, and I will organize stuff that will mean that you can give me your charts and we can do some work. Oh, there we are. Okay. Virgo rising, Libra second. Yeah, no, Mercury and Venus in 8. I want to be an astrologer. Let me just see if that is. So Arcana Nana. Right, let me just quickly jot this down. Right, so that is Libra, Aries, and Mercury and Venus. Hello, Venus, Aries. Happy return, Venus return. I'm Venus in Aries too. I don't know if I've ever seen you before, but it doesn't matter. Welcome. Okay, so, well, interestingly, I recently had a conversation with another Virgo rising, and I think generally for us signs, and I'm also Earth rising, so I have a fire in the eighth house. It's a confrontational work. Now, you say you want to be, I want to be an astrologer to make dollars. I mean, it would. I'm presuming you're young. I don't know why I'm presuming you're young, but I'm presuming you're young. By young, I mean in your 20s. So, so I would say that. So I think there is something to do with age as well, particularly Saturn return. If you're past your Saturn return, then it gets easier. So what am I talking about? You could be a Libra. You could be just your toolbox, what you already have, and it sounds like you have nothing in Libra. Okay, so the toolbox that you already have is Libra stuff. So I presume you have a really good aesthetic, like your values are like the things are pretty, the harmonious, balanced, well spoken, like well presented. So if it's an astrology, then I would say also maybe even a partnership, like having a co-host on YouTube talking astrology could be a nice way of you to start monetizing your interest in astrology. So I don't know if you've been here since I've been talking, but that's a difference between the second house, which is about making money, but it has a very it's limited. And then when you want to make wealth, you move into the eighth house. So I would suggest potentially, like I say, someone else to do this with, or in a Libran way. So whatever you have, I imagine, like an Instagram page, let's say, make it very Libra-like very pretty, very beautiful, the beautiful font. Always be on the positive side, like tell people what they want to hear. Not as a way of, faking or lying to them, of course, but like I did this. I said this because I did astrology and I still do in the opposite way. Like I just want to, talk about the darker stuff. But I think as a Libra second house, to make money with something, your resources are pleasant, like amongst other things, right? They're pleasantries. So in that sense, like speak sweetly is how I would say. So a nice page. You may already have that, so I can't talk to you live. Let me think if there's anything else. Libra astrology. You could even, I'll tell you what, you could even like call a business like a page Libra. But obviously feel into, do you have affinities with a sign? Is there anything else significant? Libra doesn't sound like in terms of planets, but maybe in terms of your likes, your something, I don't know, or scales, or like a branding, that could also be the second house. Like it's a market stall, right? It's your shop. So brand it like Libra, make when people come in, for them to feel it's beautiful. It's just so lovely. They really enjoy it. It's very graceful. It's very, so, okay, I'm going to stop here because I'm giving you ideas and I don't have a clue whether they're landing well. There's some hearts, so maybe that's hitting some spots. I'm not sure I like this live. I can't wait to be able to go live on Instagram. It's a bit better. I think. Anyway, so hopefully, so that's second house, right? To make money. It tells us how to make money. And then I would also, hold on, you have Venus in the eighth. Well, so when the ruler of the second is in the eighth, you, honey, are made to make more money than like the next person. What is it there? Aries, right? Well, Venus is not the happiest in Aries, but I'm telling you, it's the best Venus in the world. Obviously, I'm biased. But what I mean is there's going to be a lot of resistance on your part. But also, and this is where it gets tricky, you need to really own your Aries. You need to, like, one of the things that I had to own about my Sagittarius in the eighth house was how much I love darkness, my own darkness, to watch. Like, I was a crime, true crime or serial killer documentaries. I don't want them as friends, right? But I was fascinated by the darker side of human experience. Still am. And whenever I was hitting a really dark spots, like I had a few dark nights of the soul, as much as I was like obviously in the gutter, I loved it. Now that was actually really hard for me to own, admit, like, who, all my friends or whatever gonna like ditch me or go send me to a hospital or something, right? Thinking I'm crazy, but I loved it. And I actually felt expanded by it. And I recently had an experience um, over death, over death. And I was talking to a friend who's also death doula. She might be here. Oh, 9 people. Hi. Um, okay, so you can leave a note, although I might be coming to the point where I would have to be closing. But anyway, let me just finish with the Arcana Nana. Oh, tarot, right? Anyway, so with a doula friend, while I was going through this process of death in my family, and I used to say to her, I am so loving that I can talk to you in the ways about death, about a loved one, in ways that are actually just like awe-inspiring. I'm obviously not, I'm distraught that that loved one is dying. I'm distraught. But at the same time, there is something about it that expands me, that makes me buoyant and joyous. Now, how? I mean, it's not an easy thing to own. So back to you. Sorry. It took me a while to be on my side of the story. So Aries is like confrontational, is too direct, honest, insensitive, selfish, all these kind of, I didn't use air quotes, but in a way, yes, meaning that those are the sort of, what people don't like about Aries, or rather, how Aries doesn't fit into the societal norms, which are really set by Libra. So this is the opposition, how it works. So you, Arcana Nana, need to, how are you with your Aries? Like, are you comfortable being direct, honest, or is that really just with the most intimate group, like with your lover and your closest friends that really can have seen you naked, even if they didn't have sex with you, right? It doesn't matter, right? Are you only able to be like that with them? Which is fine. That's certainly a stage in their path, but you need to be more public about it, because it will be a place where people will come to give you a lot of money, potentially, because the ruler of how your resources and how you make money is in the 8th house. It's like you want to make money. Your chart wants you to make lots of money, to be wealthy, but you need to do your Aries. So like, you need to embody it, you need to integrate, you need to be really comfortable with it, which is all the stuff that most people are not, is to be separating, is to be differential, to be malefic. I have Mars in the 8th house as well. It's in Sag, so it's slightly kind of moderated in a sort of more, come on, isn't this amazing? I'm genuinely happy for you. Where Aries Mars, which is not your case, but it is an Aries, right? And you have Mercury there, so your words are like swords. If you're not using them at the moment, doesn't matter. That's where if you want to be wealthy and making lots of money, you need to be doing that. So actually, back to your pretty store for astrology, I would say no. Make it like Aries, like, sorry, I missed the ruler of your second is in the 8th. So scrap 10 minutes I was ranting on about your Libra thing. No, make it all Aries. It has to be bold, direct, no nonsense. Just you're like telling them how, like, just the truth. Just keep dropping truth bombs. Like Sag and Aries in particular are about truth bomb dropping, and people will be like wanting you to be dropping. I'll come to you again, depending what you do. But you know what I mean. I want that. I'll pay good money for people to drop truths to me about me, that I either am a bit shy or just have insecurity to look at. Now, obviously, you need to kind of, it's not just about, derailing people. It's about, you need to help them cross from one stage from one form into another to transform. So you need to be skillful, but you need to own this stuff. I was going to say shit. Why shouldn't I? I don't know. So I'm not banned. Could I be banned? I don't think. So, right. Okay. I'm going to stop. There are 11 people. I'm not getting anything else, but you want to follow me. I don't know if you already follow me, and I'm not canvassing votes, but because I'll be talking about this and I'm speaking a lot. Watch me because I'll be doing this. And also I have been doing this kind of work in my older ages. I'm 57 in a few weeks. So it took a while to actually own my fire in the 8th house, so people come to me to be burnt, and they will be coming to you to be burning their egos, their inflated sense of self, their fears, their lack of confidence, their insecurities, all of that. But you have to do it. You have to handle them in an Aries way, directly, honestly, unapologetically, inspiringly. Like you will, and you need to be an example of that. So very different astrology shop. And I want to follow you. When you create it, let me know. I want to follow you then. Okay, I think that's enough on Arcana Nana. Thank you so much. 10 people, right? I mean, I have really spoken some good stuff here. I think I'm really happy. So, do you want to rewatch this? And since I have nothing else, oh, I did say to this person who, mm, I have actually touched on it. So no, and I don't want to go over an hour, as I don't know how this works, and I want this to be actually saved since it was good. So yeah, the 7, 8, 11 people that were here, you want to rewatch it from the beginning because I don't think you were here then. And yeah, so thank you, Arcana Nana and Sun Dancer, and everyone else for joining me. And yeah, watch this space. I'll be talking so much more money, and I'll be sharing my own examples as I move through this stuff. And I'll be having some more stuff to involve you and help you on the journey as well. So yeah, okay, that's it. Over an hour. Wow, I did well. It was so fantastic. I love this. Yeah, let's talk money. Let's unshame that we want money, that we want to, want to be wealthy. We want to be making, you know, running businesses and making money on our own terms. And astrology has so far helped me in every other aspect of my life to be doing things my own way, but skillfully. It's the skillful piece that's important. Oops. And that is what the chart also teaches you, and obviously life, and all that. Okay. Love you all. See you soon, very soon. Watch this space. Bye. And thank you again.